Hi, I'm David with EV World News, where we ramble on about all things in electric vehicles, green energy, World War II fighter planes, you name it. Sometimes it just
Concrete
doesn't even
blocks.
apply. Concrete blocks, nuclear energy, yeah, sailing ships,
we, we,
planes,
we,
trains.
we should let people sort of eavesdrop as we get ready for the show. All the stupid, well, no, it's not stupid. It's really interesting stuff that we talk about before we go live.
Yeah, they might like me more entertained. It was funny was yesterday we were doing the show and Mike and I had a 15-minute discussion on some topics before we went live. And people started asking questions, and it happened to be about the stuff we were discussing
Oh, there you
before we
go.
went live.
Oh,
And
they
they were
were
just,
eavesdropping on you.
yeah, it was, well, it was one of those things where, because it came up about nuclear energy.
Right.
And so, I'm constantly asking him questions about, energy math.
Right.
And so, because energy math is different than, construction math and some other things that I'm more familiar with. And, so you just never know what's coming up there. All right. Well, let's start out. We'll talk about BMW. So, BMW's had the i3, right? And they've got all kinds of other whatever
I this,
vehicles,
I that.
i4, i5, iX. Anyways,
I
and
was,
they're all electric vehicles.
by the way, I was in New York City for the national rollout of the i3 when it was first
Okay.
introduced. Yeah, that was fun.
Nice. Well, when they had the i3, they're going to come out now with an iX3M. Now, M is generally their high performance models,
right,
for BMW. So BMW is planning an onslaught of brand new all electric models based on the new Classe technology and fresh design philosophy. An electric version of the next gen 3 Series and an electric X3 compact SUV are expected to get things started. They will not have the I designation, but they will have top tier performance trim tuned by the BMW M division.
Okay.
So they're going to be performance.
So they're
EV.
swapping the I for the M then, I guess.
Yes. Currently, BMW has 4 I branded models in the US. They're the i4, i5, i7, and the iX.
Right.
And
current models. They don't make they don't make the i3 anymore. Right.
Correct. And let's see. The ultimate BMW M3 will simply be called the M3. It'll be all electric, but it won't have an I designation. So that's going to be kind of an interesting change. So let's see where we're going to get. We're looking at these in 2026, and this will be with the 3 Series. Yeah, just 3 Series for now. But
and by the way,
interesting to see this change.
This does not look at all like the original 3. The original i3.
No, the original i3 doesn't really look like a BMW.
No, well, they tried with sort of tweaking the front. I mean, I like it personally. I thought it was a cool car, but
Bill,
well, it's me.
You have no taste. Yeah,
really.
Yeah, my personal feeling is that all the manufacturers intentionally tried to make electric cars look ugly to start with. Tesla was the first company that tried to make. I mean, you got to admit, the Model S is a nice looking car. Okay, they were the first people to make an electric car that.
Do you know the story behind that?
Mm-mm.
So if you go on evworld.com, there's a story that I did yesterday because I asked what happened? How did the original design come about? Because we went from a little sports car to this big, beautiful, slick looking, and that's the Franz von Holzhausen or whatever his name is. How did that come about? And it turns out that they had Heinrich Fisker was the first guy commissioned to design the car for them.
Oh, wow.
And what Henrik came up with was his sort of, long nose, sleek looking, sexy kind of a car. But when Musk and the rest of the design team saw this, said, that's not what we want. Why are we, emulating the style that is totally impractical if we're talking about electric car? So they
Mhm.
told Henrik, now we don't like what you've come up with. So they started looking around for another designer. And it turns out that Franz, who had worked, I guess he'd worked for BMW, whoever in Europe, and then he got hired to Mazda. And
Mhm.
then while he was at Mazda, he came up with a couple. Oh, he was also at Volkswagen, and he was part of the team that did the original redesign of the Beetle.
Mhm.
So then he got over to Mazda, and he came up with this concept car that so totally blew the design, the sort of design paradigms that have been used to out of the water, that when Musk saw that, he says, we got to hire that guy. And so they hired him, and they talked about, here's what we want an electric car to do. You've got this, you don't have to have a big engine bay in the front of the car. The drive is underneath the car in a skateboard. You just play with it and come up with the design. And that's the Model 3 was the design he came up with. But that's just a fascinating story that they didn't like what Henrik came up with. So what does Henrik do? Of course, that spurred a lawsuit, which you may or may not remember. I remember well that they had this lawsuit over did Fisker steal ideas from Tesla when he went over and started his own company, Fisker Automotive. And the courts eventually they determined that no, he hadn't, and Tesla did not prevail in the lawsuit. So it's an interesting little background on how all that came about.
So many cars look alike that I don't know. I mean, there's only so many shapes. You got four wheels. There's only so many things you can do that don't just look
Well, you
ridiculous.
don't have to have four wheels.
That's
You can
this is
have
true.
three wheels, like the one I talked about, the Trinova today.
Mhm.
Three-wheeled, narrow body, lane splitter, all electric car that a guy in Southern California is trying to produce. So you
Hey, you
don't
could always
always
have a
have.
6x6 as well, right?
Oh, you can have 6x6.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just saying. You look at how the Ford Bronco, the Range Rover, Rivian, a lot of the newer Hyundai's. Um, oh, the Scout. A
Right, they're
lot of
all
these,
sort of
they
the
all kind of
same.
look the same. You see them on the
And
road.
there's a term for that. It's like the three-box design. There's something I can't remember. I've read it in the past where it just sort of there's the block where the engine is, there's the block where the passenger cabin is, and then
Mhm.
there's the block that may be part of the cabin or may be separate, from it, depending on how the engineers did it. But there's sort of a format to
Yeah.
that. And of course, electric vehicles, the only reason that you've got anything in front of that passenger cabin is for the crumple zone. Now you might have, like my cars, I've got a motor and stuff up there, obviously, but I don't have to. You can get cars, Ford, the Ford F-150 Lightning. There's nothing up there.
Right. That's the frunk. It's the
Yeah, it's a
frunk.
frunk, and the same thing with Tesla. Um, so it gives you a lot of flexibility, and that's what attracted Elon to France is that he got it. He says
Mhm.
he understood that. Let's let him design the car.
Well, that's a lot of people's attraction, though, to certain EVs is it doesn't look like an EV, right? It just looks like a car.
Right.
And, I think that's just a little
But
bit easier for some
but
people to wrap their head around.
with the exception of the Cybertruck, the four models that they've had, what is it, three models? Anyway, the models that they have, the Y, the X, the
The three
3,
and the S.
and the S, right? They all have sort of a identifiable shape, especially the later models, where
Mhm.
you've got a kind of that, you don't have to have a grill up there. The first Model 3 had that sort of black oval up front. Well, you don't need that now. With that, they're very noticeable. In fact, I had one of the walking this morning. I had one go down the road for me, and I could spot it was a Tesla from 2, 3, 4 blocks away. You can tell it's a Tesla.
I haven't seen another brand that's started looking like a Tesla yet. I'm sure it's coming. There's probably some over in China.
Oh well, yeah.
I guarantee there's some in China.
But in China, of course, Tesla makes them there.
Right.
So they've probably got a little bit more grounds for suing and copyright infringement and whatever else you want to do. So
yeah, maybe. All right. So let's talk about the Tesla Cybertruck. The big news about the Tesla Cybertruck today. The US military is buying Tesla Cybertrucks to use as targets for missiles.
They want to use them as targets. What?
Yeah. That one is, the Air Force is looking to purchase 2 Tesla Cybertrucks and use them for target practice. They're concerned about the vehicles being bulletproof and having extreme survivability, and that foreign adversaries could use them. And they want to make sure that the Air Force is prepared.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to stick it down on the range there in Arizona, and they're going to take some Warthogs, A10s, and let's see what an A10, Gatling gun will do to a
Cybertruck. Yeah. They plan to use them as targets for precision-guided weapons. Yeah.
Wow.
So apparently they're looking for 33 target vehicles, but the Cybertrucks are the only specific vehicle that's in the RFP. They want 2 Cybertrucks, and the rest are to be
other mix of
other mix of pickups, sedans, SUVs, things like that. But I thought this was just really
I had to post that there. I came across 2 articles about it, so I had to post it in the RS stream.
They have been found not to receive the normal extent of damage expected upon major impact. Testing needs to mirror real-world situations. The intent of the training is to prep the units for operations by simulating scenarios as close as possible to real-world situations.
Hey, look what happened in Las Vegas. The guy set off a bomb in the thing, and it didn't destroy it.
Yeah. Study revealed that the Cybertruck's aggressively angular and futuristic design, paired with its unpainted stainless steel exoskeleton, sets it apart from competitors typically using painted steel or aluminum bodies. Its 48-volt electrical architecture provides superior power and efficiency, a features that rivals are only beginning to develop. Extensive internet searches and industry outreach found no vehicles with features comparable to those of the Cybertruck.
No. What do you want to bet, though? What do you want to bet, though, that Ford, with their August 10th rollout of that electric pickup?
Yeah.
What do you? I wonder if they're going to have a 48-volt system on it.
I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see next week.
Yeah, I think an inexpensive truck would have a lot of military applications. Not necessarily combat applications. That's one of the things.
No. They
like
got
a
all
Humvee.
kinds.
In the new modern battlefield with drones and things like that, any unarmored vehicle is completely impractical. And
even armored vehicles are impractical.
Yeah,
anymore.
I
got to build cages over the top of them, and that hasn't even stopped them.
Yeah, so apparently the vehicles that have proven exceptionally resistant to drones have been Leopards and Abrams. Much so than anything else. All the former Soviet tanks,
hardware,
just not designed for drone warfare, and for some reason the Western style tanks have worked out better. But any vehicles like a Humvee or something like that, they're all just getting wrecked by drones.
Well, I think the Bradley's been doing pretty well too, hasn't it?
The Bradley's done well.
Yeah.
So, but there's so much new tech coming out, and these things, like automatic shotguns and different types of.
Yeah, that's the standard issue now, right? It used to be that they issued shotguns for trench warfare or
Mhm.
close in. I think the Marines had certain units within the Marines in World War II that had shotguns.
Mhm.
In fact, one I used to actually own one of the shotguns upon which the Marine Corps used, right? It's a Browning. And
Mhm.
so now we're issuing these shotguns so these guys can try to shoot down the drones.
Yeah, it's funny to think that these units in Ukraine, they pretty much all have at least one person in every squad with a shotgun for the
Mm-hmm.
purpose of shooting a drone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a different world. Um, anyways, had something else. So a new electric SUV sets an outstanding record for the highest ever safety score by a car. Um, a
Yeah.
company called Link and Company
Yep.
had the highest. It was their vehicle called the 02 or O2 was unveiled late last year. It offers exceptional range and a unique sense of fun. It has a all-electric range of 276 miles, as well as an advanced digital cockpit. But now it's also earned the highest ever safety score for a compact SUV. Now, this
Yep.
Lincoln Company is part of Geely, which is
It's
Volvo,
which is a
and
Chinese Swedish company.
yeah, and um, hold on, my
And
computer's
they
now all of a
also
sudden.
they're also part of the Zeekr. Uh,
Mhm.
that's the Geely, of course, is the large GM version, and then within that is the subunit Geely, which
Mhm.
we don't see. I think you may see them. I exported to Australia and maybe some into Europe. I'm not sure about Europe. But then Geely also makes the Polestar, which is we
Right.
have here and distributed here in the U.S. And then they have this, the model uh, that got the testing, the Link vehicle.
Mhm. Yeah. So the highest Euro NCAP rating ever recorded. Um, it scored a 90% for adult occupant protection, 87% for child protection,
That's great.
83% for vulnerable road user protection. Um,
That's picking up on their Volvo leg or yeah, genes, genetics, I guess.
yeah. And also in their testing, the Tesla Model 3 was named the safest new car, with the EV scoring high marks in driver assist systems and crash protection. The Model 3 had a total score of 359 out of 400, making it the highest performing car tested this year. The Mercedes E-Class came close at 353 out of 400. Interestingly, other vehicles that scored high were the ID7, Zeekr X, Polestar 3, and the Neo ET5, which are all EVs.
Yeah, and
So,
about half of those are made in China.
um,
Neo, Zeekr, Polestar. Who else?
yeah, let me see. Here's a picture of this.
The Link.
Of the Link O2. It's the Lincoln Company O2. It's kind of funny. It's COO2, but it stands for company,
CO2.
not yeah,
The
yeah,
Lincoln
something it
Company
doesn't emit.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Nice looking
something.
car. I wouldn't be embarrassed to drive it.
No, it's interesting. It didn't give any pricing or information like that, but still, I thought that was pretty decent. All right, so let's talk about the General Motors news. So, a
Oh,
couple days
this is
ago,
awesome.
yes, a couple days ago, we're talking about the expected Ford news that we think they're coming out with a $25,000 pickup truck. That
Right.
may or may not be accurate. We won't know till Monday, right? When we
Right.
do the reveal.
Right.
But GM pushes Chevy Silverado EV to a 1,000 plus mile range on a single
1,509
charge.
mile range.
Yeah,
1,059.
1,059 miles.
Yep.
Wow. Um,
Now, how did they do that?
Did they tow a battery? I mean, I don't
No,
know.
no, no. Here's what they did. Okay, because I saw that and I said, "Holy crap! How'd they do that?" So I did my AI thing, right? I asked my friendly robot, and what they did is they of course did it in Michigan in the summer, so that the temperature wasn't too hot, too cold. They didn't use any air conditioning system, so it was not maybe not even have the windows down, right?
Hmm.
But most important, they drove up on the not in the peninsula, but on the Milford Proving Ground and that around that area, which is generally pretty flat ground. I mean,
Hmm.
there are some rolling hills and things, but not like driving in the Rockies or Cascades. And then they drove and tried to keep they tried to minimize the amount of rapid acceleration and sort of jackrabbit starts and stops driving. So basically, what I'm thinking is they were using the regen system in the car, which I use on my Bolt all the time. It's incredible, but they didn't travel any faster than 20 to 25 miles an hour.
This is like the thing they did in the UK where they drove end to end.
Right. So you put all those things. They were hypermiling.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what
So,
they were doing. But hey, they got over 1,000 miles on a single charge.
so this was a completely stock Silverado
Yep.
EV Max range work truck. Has an
No,
EPA estimated range of 493 miles. It's got a Hummer battery,
got a
which means
Hummer
it has over
battery, big
200
battery,
kilowatt hours. For those
right?
of you who don't know, you can use this in speech now because I coined this. A Hummer equals 200 kilowatt hours of battery
Oh,
energy.
okay.
Yeah. Anyways, um, but so they managed to squeeze it from about 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour to about 5 or to more than 5. Yeah,
Yep.
that was a lot of work. So they did some temporary vehicle modifications and highly disciplined driving techniques. They put a cover over the truck bed
Right.
to
Put a
reduce the
tonneau on
airflow.
it. Yep.
The windshield wipers were set to their lowest position. Wow, that's really getting touchy there. They lowered rolling resistance. The stock tires were inflated to their maximum safe pressure, and a special low resistance alignment was performed.
And they pulled the spare. They
The
removed the
spare
spare
tire
tire.
was removed to shed unnecessary
Were
weight.
weight. Yep.
Yeah. Did they use like a 80-pound woman to drive it? You know,
Wouldn't surprise me.
yeah. Slow and steady speed, average speed of 20 to 20. Wow, they drove this thing for 45 to 50 hours.
Yes. Shift. They
Conservative
did
driving.
in shifts. Yeah.
All hard braking and rapid acceleration were avoided. No climate control. Um, it was conducted at the most favorable conditions, ideal for battery performance. While this isn't representation of typical real-world driving, it's a powerful demonstration of Silverado's EV potential. Now, significant factors like speed, driving style, and aerodynamics can impact an electric vehicle's range. Well, you know what makes me wonder about that is with that kind of driving, could they have towed 8,000 pounds for 300 miles? For a third of that. I bet they could have,
Well, I don't
at
know.
that speed, right? I'm just saying it's a different look at it because it's one of the things you get about, well, actually, they probably get better than that. They might get 400 miles towing, doing that kind of driving.
Yeah, but I guess if you're driving, where are you going to drive at 20, 25 miles an hour towing something? What is a camper
I don't
trailer
know.
or towing the, 4 mowing machines?
Well, there you
You know,
go. So if you were mowing, that would
yeah,
be something
it
because
would.
you're probably driving in neighborhoods not going very fast.
Anyway, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's one of the things. Chevy, people were talking about how the Ford Lightning's really gone down in sales, but Chevy has picked up sales. But I mean, for the same price, you get a lot more out of the Chevy. And I don't know that it really makes sense to be in the Ford camp on that because Chevy has the big battery and the ability to tow, which the Ford
Yeah.
does not.
Well,
excel with.
I am soundly at this point in my life in the Chevy camp. I'm
Mhm.
getting 5.3 miles per kilowatt in my car. And if you plot it out, that's over, I think we talked about this last time. That's over 300 miles on a
Yeah,
66 kilowatt hour battery.
yeah, no, you're doing excellent there, Bill. All right, let's talk about Honda. Looks like Honda's first EV motorcycle is finally ready, and it'll drop soon. Um,
That's a good looking bike, too.
yeah. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I mean,
It's
you
a
look
nice
at these,
looking machine.
you don't know that this is electric. The first thing you notice is that it's quiet.
Yeah.
I can't hear it at all. Can you
No,
hear
I
it,
know.
Bill?
It's running right now, folks. And look, you can't hear it.
But anyways, now let's see what we got here. Did they give any information on the Honda bike?
There wasn't a lot of information that came out other than, just here's what it looks like. We're still waiting to see what the competitors come up with.
62 miles of range.
Yeah.
That's definitely a commuter bike.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I bet they charge pretty fast though. It's the first work of the Japanese Big Four to launch a real electric motorcycle with performance worth taking seriously. Um,
Speaking of motorcycles and electric, of course, Harley Davidson got into that. And I didn't have a chance to confirm this morning, but I saw a headline that Harley Davidson has declared bankruptcy. Did you see
again?
that?
No.
So I don't know. I just said, like I said, well, I've got other things I got to move on. I'll come maybe back to it later. But they split off the live wire, unit, which was the division that is making an electric motorcycle, which would be at this point, then you got the Lightning, my friend Richard Hatfield out in California with the Lightning bike, and Zero, of course, and what is up in the Bay Area on the what is that? Can't remember the name of the town. Santa Cruz. So you got some guys making electrics, and this would be the first one that I'm aware of from an Asian manufacturer. Well, no, the Chinese have been doing electric motorcycles for quite a while now.
Yeah, the revenue was down 60% last year from the year before.
That Harley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm sure they're in trouble, but I don't know what all of their, what they have going on there. So who knows? There could be all kinds of challenges in that space. There could be reasons why people just may just not be buying motorcycles too.
Well, yeah, it could be just sort of a general economic contraction. Let's ease up on our, spending and, be a little bit more conservative going forward until we figure out what's happening with the economy,
So yesterday, Mike and I were reviewing these owner satisfaction ratings on vehicles, and the highest official ranking is Porsche, but then Tesla and Rivian were higher than Porsche, but they don't release enough data, was what they said.
They don't give out enough data, so they don't get ranked in the
so they don't get ranked.
Yes.
But as I looked through the report at all, and this included gas cars, EVs, all this, Nissan came in first in a whole lot of categories. It was very interesting to see a whole lot of Nissan vehicles, which kind of surprised me because we're seeing them struggling financially, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like there's customer satisfaction versus company profitability really necessarily. There's not a direct correlation.
Not necessarily correlated.
Yeah, you would think that would be something that would correlate, wouldn't you? You'd think if people are happy with the car, they'd be financially successful, and that just doesn't seem to be the way things play out. But anyways, there was an article about the Nissan Ariya, and Nissan's trying to put
They've
out
got a
some.
lease, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
interesting lease deal coming up.
It's a 5,000 due at signing on a 36-month lease, but it's only $179 per month.
Yeah, under $200.
And so that's pretty cheap for now. I don't know where the tax credits play into that. So that might be, even better deal depending on the tax credits, because they're still valid till the end of September. But
yeah, I saw a interesting headline out of the Santa Barbara Independent. It's called, and they're saying it's saying buy an electric car now as an act of resistance.
yeah, I saw that, and they spelled it. Yeah, how they put that as an act of
Yeah,
resistance.
yeah, active resistance. Yeah,
Yeah, little play on words there.
Go
Yeah.
for it, man.
All right. So,
Speaking of which, we have, people that know, we have here in the state, my local congressman's name is Mike Flood. Okay. And he had earlier this week, he had a town hall meeting in Lincoln, Nebraska, where he got put through the ringer. I don't know if you saw any of that video. The video that they have taken and made of him has been viewed now 2 million times.
wow.
Mike, and the capstone of it is this lady asking him, "You're spending all this money and all this stuff. What is the price of fascism?" And that was she got a standing ovation for asking that question. 2 million views. So, be interesting to see how that plays out because he's up, as a congressman, he's up every election every 2 years. Be interesting to see how that plays out, because he was really, I guess the chant broke out among this crowd: tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich, instead of taking, the money away from Medicare and USAID and those different issues. Well, anyway, it's a little local thing, right? Because he's my congressman. He made international news. I mean, I've seen a whole bunch of different news reports featuring that particular speech and that particular lady asking him that question. 2 million views. Wow.
Huh. That's on YouTube.
Just put in there, Mike Flood.
Okay.
And you'll see it. It's amazing.
All right. So let's talk about China's cheap EV dominance is on the verge of imploding. Now, one of the things is we know that like BYD's been releasing sub $10,000 EVs. Let's see what we got here. The average price of a new car in China has dropped 19%. And depending on the type of powertrain, the drop could range between 18 to 27%. Now, it's not saying the time span where it dropped. 2 particular models, the BYD Seagull, also known as Dolphin Surf and other names, which has a price of less than $10,000, and the Great Wall Ora, ORA, are selling for around 20% below their retail prices.
That of the two, that's my favorite. I like what they've done with that car. It's kind of a cross between a Beetle and a Jaguar. But anyway, go ahead.
So there's clear incentives for automakers to hit increasing sales targets, which has led to some automakers finding ways to report sales before a car has even been delivered.
Yep.
As well as finding ways to dump production.
Used car. Yep.
Yeah. So new cars will be bought and registered and quickly turned back around to a dealer or exporter to be sold off elsewhere as a used vehicle. Send
them to the third world. Send them to Russia. The Russians have started to put some constraints on that. there are, from what I remember, something like 100 electric vehicle manufacturers in China,
That's a
and they're
lot.
all competing against each other, and they've got all these incentives and things, and it's uncontrolled, unfettered Chinese version of capitalism. Okay, and
Mhm.
it's where these BYD is so on. I saw an analysis once, about 30-40 minute long presentation analysis, that they are so underwater that they might look like they're the world leader and they're producing all these cars, but they're producing them at huge losses, and they're taking those losses and they're passing them on to their suppliers and not paying their suppliers for 9 months.
Oh, damn. That's kind of like Walmart.
I don't know about Walmart, but this is how they keep funding this. It's kind of, pardon the expression, it's kind of like a Ponzi scheme, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got to produce more and more cars, and that'll prove to the government and to investors that we're doing well, and they'll give us more money. And it's just they have to keep selling more and exporting more and things, and that's driving all the others to react in the same way. And so you've got these guys selling these things, and nobody is making any money at this, and it's costing the government. And the government is already. Why I listened to a talk today from a Chinese expert who was talking about that the coup to replace Xi Jinping is already taking place. And the one that's going to replace him is a Chinese army general. I can't remember his name right offhand, but it's already taking place. The troops have been moved into place and shifted around, and we will probably at some point in the not too distant future see Xi Jinping retire or end up fleeing to Azerbaijan or somewhere like that. So the
Oof, that's what we don't want.
Chinese,
It's Chinese instability.
horrible amount of Chinese instability. They've been getting torrential rains there that have caused unparalleled flooding.
Mm-hmm.
There's a show that shows that they build these drains, right? And you got this drain cover, and you pull the drain cover off, and it goes nowhere. It's just a hole that they have built and put into concrete and put a fake drain cover over it. Doesn't drain anywhere. So you've got all this kind of shady, cut the corner type of stuff that they're doing to try to get ahead, and it's backfiring on them in form of political and economic and climatic instability. So that's going to, at some point or another, that has to catch up with them. So there's guys giving these cars away. I mean, they're beautiful. I love what they've been doing with the design of the cars. Manufacturing, not so sure. But
yeah, well, you know how I like to crap on the Chinese for their export policies, and there's certainly they do things to manipulate their currency and stuff to make it so they can export more and things like that. And it's just, man, the idea is that if they get enough market share everywhere, then eventually they can raise their prices because they'll be the market leader.
Well, they'll be the market leader. Exactly. That's the strategy here. If we can undercut Fiat and Cilantro and Volkswagen and Mercedes and GM and Ford and all these car companies, if we can get a hold of that market, then once we're in there, then we can call the price, and then because if you're thinking long term, you can think who's going to be the world leader in automotive technology in 20 or 30 years.
Right. Yeah.
And they're well on their way to doing that if the thing doesn't implode. And that's the big question. Will it, along with the government in China, will it implode? Because of the analysis is that BYD is the next Evergrande.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yep.
Let's see how that plays out. Well, anyways, that's all I've got for today, Bill. So
hey,
folks,
we've covered a lot of ground, and thanks to all you that have hung in there and listened to us banter back and forth. So,
all right. Good show. Anyways, folks, have a great day. We'll see you next week.